I woke up crying today, and once again, it is another hard day to wake up black in America. This morning I woke up crying due to the recent murders of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. As hopeful and optimistic as I want to be in order to push for change and positivity, sometimes it's just hard to see any light. Over the past few days, I have been writing down some thoughts on things that have been going on around the United States, and this is a time I would like to share. Predominantly white protesters have been able to, first off, halt traffic around the Michigan Capitol streets during Operation Gridlock in order to protest the shutdown of businesses during this pandemic. Second, they were able to flood the state capitol building with hundreds, if not thousands, of bodies, while many carrying loaded rifles. Again, during this pandemic. These white bodies carrying loaded weapons in the face of countless law enforcement officials have been shown standing chest to chest with officers only to harass and scream about their human rights as a citizen of the United States. And this was considered a peaceful protest. These people were fighting about organizations that are unable to carry out business as usual because there is a global pandemic that has now killed roughly 400,000 people worldwide, and roughly 100,000 people in the United States alone. This information is put together by the World Health Organization, local governments, and other real health agencies. With this context, I struggle to understand how authorities deem a protest peaceful and safe. The only clear difference to see is race of the participants. What more danger needs to be at the forefront of a group of armed, angry individuals gathering in defiance of what is believed to be injustices caused by the government? Gathering shoulder to shoulder in a state official building in a manner that puts countless lives in danger due to a global pandemic is not a peaceful protest. It is ignorant, biological terrorism. As previously discussed, many participants in the Operation Gridlock series are individuals that are on public land with thousands of people around. Some have been recorded screaming while enraged in police officers' faces. This goes on while these protesters' fingers are inches from their triggers. This example shows many police officers can practice calm demeanors during intense and even somewhat hostile situations. The police have the ability to de-escalate tense situations when time and space is less than ideal. The police can follow the logic that due to the Second Amendment, citizens are allowed to carry guns without being attacked or detained. Even that when a citizen is known to be carrying a gun, that individual can be viewed as non-threatening to other civilians or officers' safety. So why are so many black people being killed by police? More so, why is the justified explanation for an officer killing a civilian left to the empty belief that the civilian may have had a gun? If that. Is it not legal for a citizen to have a gun? Is it not possible to have a gun and be peaceful, such as the peaceful protesters in Lansing? Why are so many officers on edge and ready to react with deadly force to simple violations, if there's even one in the first place? Do police departments not train officers to prevent issues through practicing a calm demeanor and de-escalation strategies? Should a person's life be resting on another's speculations, especially with the evidence of historical biases? Once again, with this context, I struggle to understand how authorities deem individuals and groups as peaceful and safe, or violent and dangerous. The clear difference to see is the race of either the white patriot or the black victim. I would like to imagine progress and enjoy the positive milestones for equality and diversity in the United States. However, I do not forget of the true foundation this country operates from. One reoccurring theme being that black and brown people are simply lesser than those who are white. We applaud the day our ancestors were no longer property, but citizens, celebrate the legislation that deems segregation illegal, and praised our land for finally electing one of us to run the country. Although these appear to be sound structural feats, they sway, creak, and even leak due to the construction on such outdated foundation. Our ancestors were no longer slaves to people, but to the prison system of America. Segregation was no longer legal through individual organizations, but the multifaceted housing industry created redlining. And a black president was finally elected, only to be preceded by an individual who represents the embodiment of white supremacy-minded America. Furthermore, we find hints of the true foundation through the civilians' actions as well. Throughout American history, there has been issues with white people committing extreme acts of violence against black and brown people. This has been going on since the beginning of the U.S. and is still going on today. It is not secretive either. Emmett Till's story was publicized in the 1950s. Rodney King was broadcasted around the world in the 1990s. Trayvon Martin's story was displayed for everyone to see in 2012. And today, in 2020, we have multiple extremely violent acts being carried out as tradition. Within the story of Ahmaud Arbery, a 23-year-old black man going for a jog, only to be lynched by a group, or a gang, if you will, of white men. Within the story of George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man strangled to death by a police officer in the middle of the street. And within countless other stories that have not made it to the surface of the public's attention. I think it is clear, due to the disproportionate statistics, that racism is still an issue in this country, and it continues to cost a significant amount of black and brown people's lives. This is undeniable. That being said, I think the U.S. government's actions and non-actions show they are strongly opposed to the view that all U.S. citizens should be held to equal standards and treated equally. I woke up crying today. And once again, it is another hard day to wake up black in America.